Good evening, Keisha.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for spending time with us on the Dear Professor series, where college students who take courses online speak their minds. This is our very special segment called Remember the Time. For this segment, I would like for you to share one of the funniest, scariest, nerve-wracking, disturbing, or fulfilling situations you experienced in an online course.
Okay, well, one of the most nerve-wracking experiences I had was in my senior year of getting my bachelor's degree. To graduate, we had to complete a capstone project which consisted of a 20-page minimum research paper. On a positive note, we were able to choose our own topics, and I chose to research NC Pre-K and how it was working or not working so great for the children in North Carolina. But that's a story for another time. The entire semester was built upon us researching, writing drafts, and submitting them to the professor. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, she never, and I mean never, checked or responded to anything we turned in. Fast forward to 2 months before graduation, and I sent an email stating that that was unacceptable. How could we as students turn in an assignment that literally determines if we graduate or not if we don't have the slightest clue if we're even on the right track? She didn't respond to my email, but instead went to Blackboard and wrote a long message about how she too was in school and she would get the grades in as soon as she could. A week or so later, she finally put grades in. But that's not where it ends. I had to fly from North Carolina to an undisclosed state for graduation. I submitted my paper 3 hours before I boarded my plane and headed to graduation. It was literally the night before I graduated when I found out that I had actually passed the class and was able to officially graduate. The part that adds to the craziness of the situation, I never even found out what I made on the assignment since you only got a grade for if you passed or failed.
Keisha, is this real?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
This
Absolutely.
to you? I cannot. I am speechless. I'm sitting here trying to
Yeah.
write notes. I'm like, so wait a minute. They didn't have a deadline for when seniors' grades were due well before the graduation?
Oh, there definitely was one. Definitely was one. However, her class did not follow whatever those things were because they gave you all the way up until literally a week prior to because we flew to this other state. I just don't want to give, the name of the school out.
Right.
But we flew to this other state about 4 days before graduation just so I could actually go, and have a vacation too. However, so this entire time that we're there, 3 days prior to graduation, I'm just waiting for grades, not even knowing if I actually was eligible to graduate or not.
Oh,
But I did graduated with a really nice GPA, but still never figured out
yeah.
anything about the paper.
Oh
Never
my,
gave any note, nothing.
all that hard work you did. Well, I'm glad that you didn't find out that you didn't pass the class. So that's good since you had already flown
Yeah.
there and was graduating. Wow, I have never ever heard of that. So that is one of the, what would you say, scariest, disturbing. That's all of them combined. It's not funny though.
Exactly. No, it's funny now. It's
Oh,
funny
is
now
it?
because that same exact paper, because I ended up like I said, I initially wrote it for about NC Pre-K, but it did end up having hints of Head Start in it. And when I
Yeah.
came back, I ended up sharing that paper when I did my job interview to work for Head Start. So they were actually rather impressed with the research that I did on the program. So it worked out. It's funny now looking back at it, but at that moment, it was not at all.
Oh, yes. Well, that was a double happy ending. You were able to use
Yes.
it for a job interview and impress the people. That's better than any grade. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Please join us on Wednesday, December 6th, when the full episode of this interview with Mrs. Keisha Grant premieres on the Dear Professor series, where college students who take courses online speak their minds. See you then. Bye bye.